Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout for the Paige Evans design team. And this is my first layout using Paige's new Garden Shop collection, and it is stunning as usual. I just have to use this paper right away. I saw it, I pulled it out, and I thought, okay, we're going to use this. It's paper number 3. It's these gorgeous dots. They look like watercolor. And you can also get this paper in the 12 by 12 paper pad. So I pulled it out. I have a black and white photo. This is a recent picture I took of my daughter on her birthday. And I printed it in black and white and kind of zoomed in because I want to make the photo a circle since we've got so many little circles going on here. So I pulled out my big giant circle punch and I'm going to just go ahead and punch this out. And I rarely do shaped photos. I mean, I've done it before, but it's not common. But I felt like it just went with this whole theme with the circles. So we're going to go with that. And I'm going to use this paper as my background because it's just so beautiful. I didn't want to cut it up. I didn't want to only use half of it. It's so pretty. So we're going to go with it. You know I use white cardstock for my background a lot, but we're going to go with this pattern paper today. So I want the photo to go right in the middle, and so I just traced it with a pencil, and then around the edges of the photo, I'm going to use white gesso in my fingers just to kind of create this hazy, faded effect around the circle. And that gesso is from Liquitex. It's kind of gritty, but it's great. I love this for white gesso, for me anyway. And so I'm going to do a couple layers of this and just kind of smudge it around. And so what this is going to do is just kind of fade out some of the circles. Now, I don't want them to disappear. I'm not trying to cover them up. I'm just trying to create this soft, hazy, white, cloudy effect around where the photo is going to go. And this looks like a crazy hot mess, I know. You're probably like, what is she doing? But it's going to make sense once I put the photo back on top of it. And I also want to prep this paper for some Shimmers paints that I'm going to use. And so now I've got a little bit of white space and I've got a little bit of interest here. And this just sort of makes the photo stand out a little bit more because I have a hard time sometimes when I use pattern papers that are pretty colorful and busy like this one. I always want to make sure the photo stands out and doesn't get lost in the middle of all the colors and patterns. And so that's kind of one of my concerns about using pattern papers as backgrounds a lot. So this technique with the gesso just kind of enhances the photo, as you can see what I'm talking about here. You can still see the circles and the dots around the photo. It just kind of softens them up a little bit and makes the photo kind of separate from all that busy pattern. I pulled out the 6 by 8 paper pad here and I'm going to do a little bit of layering behind the photo. I just put some white cardstock behind it so I had a nice thin white border around the photo, and I'm just going to do the same thing with this pink and red pattern paper and just glue it down, trim it around, and then use my edge distressor to kind of ruffle up the edges there to create some texture. And you know, when you make layers, they don't have to be huge and chunky. Like, I mean, you can barely see the white, and then just that little bit of the pink really makes the photos stand out. I'm going to do it again with this periwinkle blue color. And if you haven't got any of this collection yet, and you're a periwinkle blue fan, this beautiful light blue color here, then you definitely want to get this collection because that color is in here quite a bit and it's so pretty. I'm going to do this with the periwinkle and then this orangey golden yellow color and create 2 more circle layers, and then kind of make these 2 layers a little bit crooked so they're not perfectly centered behind the photo. So they're a little bit wonky. But I'm trying to kind of, let me say what am I trying to say here? I want to embellish and do the mixed media in a tone-on-tone way, but I also want to scatter the colors around the page. So what I'm saying here is, since I'm using the blue as a layer, I'm going to sort of put the blue layer over on the left, since the blue in the background is on the bottom right. Does that make sense? I'm kind of scattering the colors around so all the blue isn't together and then all the orange and yellow isn't together. It's a little bit kind of mix matched. So I added a piece of adhesive foam under there, and then I pulled out my shimmers, and I went through all my shimmers paints, and you know I've got a ton of shimmers because I'm obsessed with those, and so I have pretty much the exact same colors in shimmers paints that are on this background paper. So the green color that I'm using there is an Inklings, and it's called I'm Not Lyman, and it has got some gold powders in it, so it dries really shimmery and kind of a golden green color. And let's see, this yellowish orange color is a Shimmers original, and it's called Golden Wheat. And all I'm doing here is just lightly dabbing the paint on the brush, adding a little bit of water, and then just kind of intentionally putting it in the exact same color areas. So in this part, I'm doing tone on tone, meaning I'm putting all the green kind of where the green dots are, the yellow and the yellow, the pink and the pink, and so on and so on. The pink color that I'm using is called, what is it called? Bubblegum Blast. That's an older Shimmers. Well, it's an old one that I have. I'm almost out of it. Bubblegum Blast. And I'm being very careful and very intentional here with the paint, so I don't want to add too much, and I don't want to go too far out from the radius of the circle. I'm trying to stay in the areas where I put the white gesso. Now, this technique is, you definitely want to use some gesso. If you're going to add this much water and this much liquid to a pattern paper, the gesso is what is going to allow it to work, because pattern paper is not really meant for this much water, and it's probably going to rip and tear and buckle and do all sorts of things you don't want it to do. So the gesso is key for allowing this technique to happen. And you can see how I'm able to move the color around and blend it into the color next to it and just kind of water it down. It's because of the gesso. This is what I've got so far. And you are still going to have some warping, but you know, I'm going to flatten that out here in a little bit. I did add some blue color there, and that is a Vibes called Blue Jeans, and it is the perfect periwinkle to match this collection. And then I went through the floral die cuts from the Garden Shop collection and picked out some of the flowers, and so I'm going to kind of tuck those in. I'm just trying things out. Nothing's glued down. Not sure. I do want to overlap some on top of the photo because I do have a little bit of open space on either side of her head, but I don't want to crowd that open space too much. So we'll see how that goes. This is white acrylic paint. It's nothing fancy. It's just plain old white craft paint. And I love to do this technique when I want to add white splatters. I just add a little bit of water to some of the paint and then just go to town flicking the brush. And it makes perfect little white splatters. And so I like to do this a lot just because it kind of helps give everything a soft feel, and it creates this nice, if you add it into when the shimmers or the paint is wet, it creates a fun marbly effect. But I let everything dry this time because I wanted it to look like little white dots. And it's very subtle, you know, everything on this page here, I would consider kind of subtle. I mean, I'm not going too dark here with any of the mixed media. I want this whole thing to kind of have a nice, soft, cloudy look. So that's all I'm doing here. And if you want bigger white drops, you could use a bigger brush, or you could use your other hand and squeeze downward on the bristles, and it will make a nice big white plop, and you'll get a nice big splattery drop. This paper is from the 6x8 paper pad. I'm going to fussy cut out some smaller flowers here to continue to work around the photo here. And I don't want to do too much because I don't want the flowers to compete with the circles. But I do need something to embellish with. And so I thought that the flowers would be a pretty embellishment. And I like how this is looking. I'm going to use some thread. I've got all my threads over there to the right. And I get asked this a lot about, you know, are these any special kind of threads or where do they come from? These are just cheap spools of thread from Walmart. They are nothing fancy. Just go to the sewing section in your Walmart and you'll see that little wall of thread. That's all this is. It's nothing fancy. I think they're like $2 a piece. But they have so many colors and it's really easy to use. And the thread is awesome for creating texture, little pops of color. I just love the effect. I love how this looks. So I'm going to add in some pink, some of that yellow, and then some of the periwinkle color. And I love the thread because you can make it subtle or you can make it a statement. You know, it just depends on what colors you're using and where it's going, how much you add. But I like here that it's just kind of like this subtle embellishment. Start to glue things down. I am going to add these 2 flowers on top of the photos there. After I drop one, of course. I've got that little daisy. And I want to let this pattern paper kind of shine. I don't want to do too much to it because it's just so beautiful. And, you know, I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I thought, okay, we're going to use this. And I'm going to use it as a background. But there's so many different ideas. Another idea that I think I almost did on this layout but didn't is to get a second copy of this paper and then cut out all of the dots and put adhesive foam under them and put those on top of this paper. So you have the same pattern paper, but all of the dots are sort of popped up. That would be awesome. I almost did that, but I didn't. All I'm doing here is looking for leaves. So I went through the 8-page sticker book and then the cardstock stickers. Now the sticker book has a couple sheets of what I call clear stickers or transparent stickers that you can see through. So I use a couple of those. I'm also going to use some more in the smaller different color leaf forms here. And what I'm doing is I'm sticking them onto some scrap white cardstock because I don't want the colors to change. Because when you use these little transparent stickers, even though they're colored, when you put them on top of another color, you're going to be able to see that color through them and it's going to change the actual color of the sticker. And I want these to look a little bit hazy. So what am I doing? You know, I'm using my gesso. I think I rub gesso on top of everything, but I love that you can use it for multiple things. It's perfect for sort of softening colors. So I want to kind of just make these leaves look a little softer and less bold to kind of go with this whole softer color scheme that I'm doing here. And the gesso is perfect. Just stick your finger in there and smudge it on top of anything and it will instantly soften it up and make it look a little bit hazy. I use that a lot for things that are metallic or shiny gold. You know, sometimes I think the gold is too gold, so I'll just smudge some white gesso on it and it still stays shiny gold, but it just mutes it a little bit so it's not as brassy. It's perfect for that. I do that quite a lot, actually. Now, also in the 8-page sticker book, there are some paper stickers that are not the see-through transparent. There's a couple of sheets of those in there, and there's all kinds of things. There's some little border stickers. There is a whole sheet of shiny, not really gold. It's more of a copper color. Still really, really pretty. I don't think I use any of those on this layout, but I do use that little pink sticker over to the left that says love you, and then this one is black and white and it says beautiful. And then I went to, these are like a page of thickers. They're like shaped thicker stickers, and there's some really beautiful leaves on there. So I thought, let's mix and match with the whole leaf thing and add in some of these nice big thick clunky chunky leaves. The colors on them are so pretty and they match perfectly with what I'm doing here now. And they create great dimension and texture because they're so nice and chunky. And I'm just trying to create little clusters here with these flowers. And here's where, you know, like the green, of course, most of the leaves are green. So I'm going to have green kind of going all around the circle, even in the pink section. And then with these other leaves, there are some pink ones. There are some kind of like a peachy pink with the orangey yellow. So I'm going to kind of mix and match those around. But this is what I've got so far. I really love how this is looking. And I don't want to do too much around the photo, too much more, because I feel like it's plenty. This is an awesome paper from, I think I pulled this one from the 12 by 12. It also comes in, I think it's paper 23. But it's got, as you can see, a ton of little phrase. You could use these for titles. You could use them for so many things, but there's something in there for anything and everything. Now I thought about the title, as I made this circle, I thought, where am I going to put the title? What am I going to do? Because I didn't even think about the title when I was making this. So I decided the only place really for it to go would be down at the bottom. So I'm going to do like a little stacked title area here. And the Happiness Here sticker is from that thicker sheet. And then these are 2 that I cut from paper 23. So I tried to go for different colors here. So Happiness Here is pink. And then this piece here is the periwinkle blue. And it says, a good day starts with a smile. And then this last one is smaller and it's white. And I'm puffing them. I'm not puffing them up. I'm popping them up with some adhesive foam. That one says, I love today with you, because this was her birthday and she just looks so cute in this picture. And it was a good day. She turned 16. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with that, but I guess that's the way it goes. Then I thought, what am I going to do at the bottom? Do I need another cluster? Do I leave it wide open? I don't know. So I cut a couple more of the small flowers to make a little cluster and see how I like that. And I do. It's fine. I think I'm going to do it. And that way I'm able to get, since I've got all the colors kind of started down here at the bottom, I thought I would add a couple of these smaller flowers to bring in all the other colors down there. Since I've got pink, periwinkle, and white, I thought, well, let me get something yellow and let me get something that darker pink. And I don't need anything green because the green dots are right there. It's a green dot section. So yeah, just a small little flower cluster. And I like how that looks. It's just enough, I think, but not too much. Now I have this spare paper. I don't even remember what I cut out of it. A big circle apparently. But I thought I would kind of create a border around the edges. So I went and trimmed off little slivers on each side of the background. And then I'm going to frame it, or I guess border it. I don't do this a lot. I know a lot of people do this all the time, and it always looks good. And I like how this looks, but I kind of want it to be crooked. So don't cringe when I do this, but I'm going to sort of wonky cut. That's not even a real term. Wonky cut. We have fussy cut, but do we have wonky cut? This is what I would call wonky cutting, which just means crooked, doesn't make sense. Just cut it any mismatched way. And then I'm going to ruffle up the edges. So this is all crooked and uneven. And I almost regretted doing this. I thought, oh God, why did I do that? Why did I do that? But it works out. I think it works out and I like it. I like to make things crooked. If you can't make something straight like me and you're always getting it crooked, I say make it crooked on purpose. Because if you make it crooked on purpose, then it's supposed to be that way. And you don't have to worry about, is this straight or not? So I just made it crooked because there was a good chance it was going to be crooked anyway. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm just going to glue that down. And now you can't even tell if it's supposed to be crooked or not. Because, yeah, I like it. I think it's cool. I do wind up machine stitching around some of the edges. I do that with white thread. You're not even going to be able to tell really, but I do that. And then I struggled with the journaling. Where's the journaling going to go? So I pulled out this little teeny tiny label sticker from the 8-page sticker book and just wrote a little bit in there. And then I found another little blue sticker that I'm going to layer in there. And then, yeah, we're almost done. I don't think I showed you the stitching. I don't think I've done the stitching yet. I think I may do that later. But I come back in with some of my liquid shimmers that I have not used yet, but match for splatters. I think this is like 3 days later. Yeah, I take forever to make a layout, so I've let this sit for a while, come back and decide to add some splatters. And I try to just go with the same colors, kind of in the tone-on-tone areas. I've got the pink, and then I'm going to come in with the blue. And if you dab it up too soon, in this case, I think I dabbed them up completely, so I just keep working at it until I get it. But anyway, that's the final layout. The sun was really bright this day, so I tried to get my photos edited just so you could see the colors. But I love how this turned out. I think it's really, really pretty. This paper is stunning. I took a lot of close-ups here, so you'll be able to see all the textures and all the colors and all the things from this collection. But let me know if you have any questions. This was fun to make. I really had fun, and I loved challenging myself to use a pattern paper and to leave most of it alone, because sometimes we get carried away and we cover stuff up, and we don't, sometimes you don't need to cover it up. Just let the paper show. And this paper is one of those papers because every single inch of it is so pretty with all the dots and all the circles and all the things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you got some ideas to try in your next layout or your next project. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.